जीवन बहिते किसे यदि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ए जीवन बहिते किसे पाश्चात्यरा যত পাপী দুরাচারী শূন্যবাদী মায়াবাদী তাদের উদ্ধার করিবারে মন হে না কোন দয়ানিধি হে না কোন দয়ানিধি যদি প্রভুপাদ না হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বহিতে কিসে यदि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ए जीवन बहिते किसे তাদের নিকট কঞ্জনে আসি বিলাইতে হরি নাম সভ্য জীব রূপে গড়িতে তাদের হয়তো আকুয়া দেশে দেশে হরি বিগ্রহ সেবারতি রাত্রি দিনে রথযাত্রাদি মহোৎসব সব শিখাইত কঞ্জনে শিখাইত কঞ্জনে যদি প্রভুপাদ ন হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বহিতে কিসে যদি প্রভুপাদ ন হইতো তবে কি হইতো এ জীবন বহিতে কিসে गीता भागवत चैतन्य चरिता प्रेमामृत रस सारा कलान सुंदर सरल करिया के बुझाई तारा कत कष्ट साही प्रीतमान राही के वादिता हरि नाम केदिता मधेर पुरी वृंदावन मायापुर मत धाम मायापुर मत धाम यदि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ए जीवन बहिते किसे यदि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ए जीवन बहिते किसे मंगल श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु শিক্ষা ধন আমাদের কে করিত নিয়োজন প্রেম কল্পতরুণিতায় গরেরা কৃপকান লাভিবারে निर्वाध जाया पताकार दया तुम्हार शरण करे तुम्हार शरण करे जादि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ये जीवन बहितो किसे यदि प्रभुपाद न होइतो तबे कि होइतो ये जीवन बहितो किसे Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Auntie. I can see you are online. So we will start with a bhajan and then we will go to the arati and then a very quick documentary. So welcome to Srila Prabhupada's Disappearance Day celebration. And it's going to be just a short celebration. And I'm not sure how many devotees will join, but let's move on to the next part. So Suvrat, you want to sing the bhajan?
Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya anila prema dana karuna prachur Jaya anila prema dana anila prema dhan karuna prachur anila prema Ena Prabhu Koda Dela Acharya Thakur Ena Prabhu Koda Dela Acharya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarupa Kaha Sanatana Kaha Swarupa Kaha Sanatana Kaha Dasa Lagunata Pandita Pavana Dasa Lagunata Pandita Pavana Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kaviraja Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kaviraja Eka Kale Kota Kela Guranada Raja Eka Kale Kota Kela Guranada Raja Asane Kutivo Mata Anale Bashibo Asane Kutivo Mata Anale Bashibo Guranga Gunera Nidhi Kotagele Babo Guranga Gunera Nidhi Kotagele Babo Sesaba Shangira Shange Jekolo Bila Sesaba Sangira Sange Jekolo Bila Se Sangana Paye Mandana Rotama Dasa Se Sangana Paye Mandana Rotama Dasa Anila prema dhan karuna prachur anila prema dhan karuna prachur Ena Prabhu Koda Dela Acharya Thakur Ena Prabhu Koda Dela Acharya Thakur Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Sri
Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada,
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 Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Brahmanandi,
Hari Bol.
Prabhupada ki
Jai. So welcome devotees once again in this today's program to celebrate Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. Now devotees sometimes think why we celebrate disappearance day, because it's not really a happy moment when some great soul departs us. But the idea is when a great soul, when a pure soul comes to this material world, they appear for our benefit, for our kalyan, for our liberation by instructions of Krishna. So that's obviously a celebration time. But when they disappear, then they go back to, their real home, to Krishna. So that's why that is also a very glorious moment. So that's why both appearance and disappearance of our acharyas, our gurus, pure souls is glorious. So now it's 7:23, and I heard that Srila Prabhupada departed in Sri Vrindavan Dham at 7:20 p.m. So usually devotees do arati at this time. So we'll start arati for Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Guru Charan Kevala Bhakti Sana Shri Guru Charan Padma Kevala Bhakti Sana Vandamokhi Sagadana Mate Vandamokhi Sagadana Mate Jaya Prasadi Devaya Jaya Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu Loke Rate Loke Rajivana Loke Rate Loke Rajivana Aha Prabhu Guru Daya Dev Hamare Paida Jaya
Prabhupada Patita Pavana.
Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. I go and mandir, Shri Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. I go and mandir.
Hari Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवकाचार्य अष्टो तत् श्री श्रीमद एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद महाराज की इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य श्रीला प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवकाचार्य अष्टो तत् श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद श्रीला गौर किशोर दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय ओम विष्णुपाद श्रीला सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय ओम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ दास सट गोस्वामी प्रभु की नमाचार श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री मायापुर धाम की श्री वृंदावन धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी माई की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की समस्त भक्त वृंद की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you devotees for joining for arati for Srila Prabhupada. Now we will play a short documentary. I mean, the glories of Srila Prabhupada are difficult to contain in a short time. They are limitless. And the more we read and hear about him, more we get enlightened. He has really done something that was impossible for anybody else to do. Very, very special soul sent by Krishna himself. So in a few seconds, I will start a short documentary to just hear his glories. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Hare.
1865, an elderly gentleman stood on the deck of a freighter in Boston Harbor and wrote this prayer. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. 12 years later, Hare Krishna was a household word. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad had been more than successful. He had founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a worldwide confederation of over 100 ashrams, schools, temples, and farm communities, and had made the chanting of Hare Krishna familiar to millions of people. He had written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on self-realization, which are now standard in universities and libraries around the world, and he had gathered about him thousands of dedicated disciples. Srila Prabhupada became known to the world as a scholar, philosopher, social critic, and spiritual leader. But to his disciples, Srila Prabhupada was dearmost friend, father, and inner guide. The importance of the spiritual master to his disciples cannot be overstated. It is said that only by the mercy of the spiritual master can one receive the benediction of Krishna, and without the grace of the spiritual master, one cannot make any spiritual advancement. So the disciple's entire life focuses on the spiritual master and his instructions. In this relationship, the activities of the spiritual master are of monumental importance to his devotees. A disciple finds meaning even in the smallest gesture. Wherever he traveled, Srila Prabhupada would emerge daily into the chill and quiet of the early morning, and cloaked in a warm wrap, he would take a lengthy stroll with an entourage of students, disciples, and guests. Some mornings would find Srila Prabhupada immersed in contemplation or a quiet appreciation of natural scenery. At other times, Srila Prabhupada would speak at great length and often with considerable intensity on various subjects. During these animated discourses, Srila Prabhupada would turn the profound Vedic philosophy into a practical cutting edge that penetrated every sphere of life and thought. The word Acharya means one who teaches by example, and the following unedited footage provides an intimate glimpse into the exemplary life of Srila Prabhupada. To most people, the daily activities of a spiritual master are a mystery, and it is interesting to see how such an important historical figure conducted his everyday affairs. What emerges is an endearing portrait of an authentic spiritual personality.
In 1965, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad, a Vedic scholar and holy man in the renounced order of life, left India for America to transform a bold vision into a historical reality of global dimension. To fulfill the desire of generations of Indian saints who wished to see India's timeless spiritual culture benefit the entire world, Srila Prabhupada left India and sailed to the United States. When he arrived by freighter, he was practically penniless, but after nearly a year of struggle, he established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in July of 1966. In the years that followed, the society grew rapidly, and Hare Krishna became familiar to millions of people. Srila Prabhupada became the focal point for the public's interest in the Hare Krishna movement, but he was never too busy to carefully answer any question. And, with each and every encounter, he would open the doors to the ancient philosophical and spiritual knowledge of India. An Acharya is one who teaches by example. By his personal example, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that the soul, the self, is naturally eternal, full of knowledge, and full of transcendental bliss. When a living being is awakened to his original constitutional position of Krishna consciousness, he becomes filled with sublime, exalted spiritual emotions that have no material counterpart. As a great self-realized and God-conscious saint, Srila Prabhupada often exhibited the spiritual happiness that Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita. That sacred and ancient fountainhead of wisdom has this to say about the final state of human perfection. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he knows there is no greater gain. Welcome. For a dedicated follower of the Vaishnava religious tradition, Vrindavan, India is the most sacred place on earth. In 1965, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad left the holy city of Vrindavan to deliver the message of Krishna consciousness to the Western countries. At the request of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada gave up his peaceful and contemplative life there in order to preach the most profound wisdom of ancient India to the rest of the world. No one could have imagined that in a few short years, Srila Prabhupada would have created a revolution in spiritual consciousness and become the Acharya, the spiritual teacher to so many people. He had founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a worldwide confederation of over 100 ashrams, schools, temples, and farm communities, and had made the chanting of Hare Krishna familiar to millions of people. And he had written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on self-realization, which are now standard in universities and libraries around the world. Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 11 times between 1966 and 1977, and he met countless political, social, and religious leaders in scores of countries on every continent. He would speak at great length.
Prabhupada circled the globe 11 times between 1966 and 1977, and everywhere he went, he taught the same basic truths, the fundamental principles of religion that constitute the cornerstone of spiritual understanding for everyone, no matter what their nationality or religion. Srila Prabhupada was, more than anything, a teacher, a professor emeritus of the science of self-realization. And he was the best kind of teacher, because he always lived up to what he taught.
Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna. So documentary is over. So anyone has anything to speak or express for Srila Prabhupada, we can maybe do so for the next 5 minutes or so. Anything anyone would like to express or say?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Srikant here.
Hare Krishna, Srikant Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for providing this opportunity, even though I'm not there. I don't have the availability to go to any temple to get the darshan or something.
Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. It is our privilege to have you, and thank you for joining every day for Damodar Ashtakam.
Thank you. Thank you to Mataji also.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, if nothing else, we can say thanks to Srila Prabhupada for everything Srila Prabhupada has done for us, and he will continue to do so because he said he is still with us, forever with us, and through his books now. So his biggest desire was to ensure that all of us read and discuss and understand his books and all the instructions and follow them practically. So that was his last desire. So thank you again, everyone, for joining tonight. And Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.